Today, for the Bitcoin price, a very special pattern is forming right now. The cup and handle pattern is forming right now for Bitcoin, and this is a extremely bullish breakout pattern in case we break out, and then we can see prices of up to 11,800 in the immediate short term after the breakout. Today we will discuss with DaVinci J15 how to handle that situation, what to do if we break out to the upside, and what specific targets if we have if we break out to the downside. This specific pattern is forming right now, and it is extremely imminent if we look at the 4 hours chart. So DaVinci J15, before we go into the charts and before we check out what's your specific game plan right now, we want to ask you the most important question of today. DaVinci J15, how are you doing today, my man?
I am doing okay. I'm a bit under weather. I came back from the trip and now I seem to have caught in something. But anyway, well, the show must go on, and we're going to talk about the charts today and a news article that I really liked about a family in Venezuela. So that will be interesting if you guys stay tuned for the whole show.
Yes, now, and you should stay tuned because in the first part, the price action is extremely interesting. A cup and handle pattern where actually no one is talking about right now. But we will talk exactly about the urgency of that pattern and why it is extremely important and extremely important and nice to watch right now, because at this specific point we might be already in the handle, and the handle is of course the last point before the breakout. So DaVinci, may you introduce us a little bit into that specific pattern and what happens when we break out, when we will break out, and what are the specific price targets before we go into the lovely Venezuela news, which show us actually where and why we need Bitcoin and what's the long-term game for Bitcoin.
Exactly. So before we go on to the cup and handle, let's talk about what happened here, because we didn't get a chance to really discuss this on the channel. So I was quite bearish after this, but once this candle showed up, I was looking at this, I'm like, wait a second, past is hot. That's weird, right? Normally when you have a big dump, right, there's a second test of the bottom. Right, and that didn't happen, and I'm like, wait a second, before it breaks out to the upside. And I couldn't trade it because I was at the Tombay's conference, but I was like thinking, man, I should buy this. And I'm really sorry because a lot of people called me after this dump right around here, saying, oh my God, DaVinci, I bought at 7,900 or 7,645.
Yes.
What should I do? I mean, who told you to do that? I was thinking that this thing's going to roll over to the 72 and then you might have a bounce. And I said, well, if you survive the 70 all the way to the 7,200 level, a test around there, then, you could probably survive it. And we're going to have a dead cat. We're going to have a big bounce, dead cat bounce. But what looks like it was not a dead cat bounce. It was a live and kicking cat bounce.
It was
a live back.
It really reminds on the pump we had on the 1st of April. Bless you, DaVinci, bless you. It reminds ourselves on the pump we had on the 1st of April. And yeah, I can even remember you telling that. And that specific candle you mentioned was actually extremely bullish, not only because we didn't test the low again, also we beat the previous high. And what was also extremely interesting, guys, if you look here into this 50 and 200 day moving average, and if we go here on the daily, in the exact moment of the breakout we also had the death cross, and as we already told you a few months ago, on the daily the death cross can be an extremely false signal, and that's exactly what happened right there. So yeah, DaVinci, so far so good. We had the breakout, and right now here on the 4 hours something is forming which is called the cup and handle pattern, and you mentioned that first, and it's extremely interesting. Let's talk about that, because right now looking at into classical technical analysis, you draw it right there. We have the cup, we have the handle, we have the second high of the cup which is lower than the first one, and then we also have the handle which is right now not breaking the bottom of the cup. So still it is in place and a breakout is possible. So what are your thoughts on that? What is going to happen if we break to the upside, and what's going to happen if we break to the downside, and what's your specific game plans for that situation right now?
Well, so if we turn around here on the 4 hour, which is possible, but you know, the indicators look very like tired, and we have like a little bit of a divergence if we just count the what's it called, the candle bodies happening here. So I would, and then we have the MACD rolling over and everything. It's looking horrible, but you know, this could go. This, you remember how Bitcoin acts, right? Because this is Bitcoin.
Exactly. Not looking back, man. Not looking back.
Exactly. So if you want to trade this, I would suggest you trade the breakout up here from this point right here. If we break the $99,938 level,
Yes.
we should see a breakout higher. Now, prepare for a head fake, right? Make sure that you set your tight stops. Maybe you set your stops at 7,900. If it's just like, oh no,
Yes.
you don't want to lose too much money. So keep that in mind. If we break down over here, which is the 89.21, we'll most likely test the 61.8 at $8,300.
Da Vinci, that's perfect, because what you are saying right now, we have the perfect game plan. If we break to the upside, we have a breakout trade, a limit buy at 9,938 for the breakout with the tight stop loss. However, if we break out to the downside, below 8,900, your 61.8 actually is very, very close to the CME gap. So we might, even if we break below, the CME gap is, I think, like 8,200, wick down below, close the gap, and then we are maybe, like, hopefully up to the races. So no matter what happens, the breakout to the upside and the breakout to the downside would make sense. And I want to throw out something controversial. Just looking at the statistics, going back in time, if we go to the CME futures, they were always closed. So maybe breaking out to the downside and closing that freaking gap before we are off to the races is even more bullish. If we break out to the downside, close the gap, it's more bullish rather than breaking out to the upside and then still having the statistical necessity of closing the gap which is still below us. But we want to point out there is no 100% necessity to close the gap. So of course the Bitcoin price can break out, can form the cup and handle pattern and go to 11,000, 11,800 even without closing the gap. Only talking about the statistical necessity. So thank you so much, Da Vinci, for that. And is there anything else you want to mention trading wise?
Yes, here's a trading setup if you want to do something on take a risk that it holds this bottom. You have to wait for this candle to finish in 6 minutes and 3 seconds. It'll definitely be finished at the time we post this. But if it posts higher, this is a dabble right here. So you can take this shot. There's only a 1.6% risk, right? Just remember to do a little bit of math to make sure that you only lose like a specific amount of money and not your whole wad.
Yes.
And then see if this takes you up here. You can take profits up here and then let the rest ride, see if this thing goes higher. Yep. And that's the trade setup I'm going to copy and hand over to you right now, because you know what, people keep complaining about that.
Thank you very much. And I also want to mention something. Everyone watching that right now, and if you do your own research and you think, okay, that sounds reasonable, you will look into that two-way breakout, then you have to think about something important. Back a few days back when we had the breakout right here to the upside, in that exact moment, BitMEX had system overloads. They had order submission errors. FTX was down for a minute or two. Then Deribit also had problems. On Binance US, you had extremely suspicious wicks. So there were problems on each and every leverage exchange. There was one leverage exchange where, prove me if I'm wrong, where you had no problems at all. And that specific leverage exchange was ByBit. I know I'm shilling it like crazy, but the reason is because their backend is extremely strong. They are investing into servers and so on. And that was the only exchange with smooth trading where you were able to trade very smoothly without any without anything like breaking up. And you can find it here in the description and in the pinned comment down below. If you click it, you also get $60 for free for a 0.2 Bitcoin deposit. And guys, if you don't want to trade your own money, only trade the bonus, you can withdraw the profits. It's actually like risk-free if you don't even touch your own money. So guys, make sure you check it out. And thank you so much, Da Vinci, also for sharing your thoughts on that trade. And there was one specific, very lovely news you wanted to talk about as well, the Venezuela news.
Yes, today on my channel, I talked about what is going on here in Chile. If you want to check it out, please check the link in the description below.
Yes.
It's very important that we talk about this, that our financial system is unfair, transfers wealth from the poor to the middle class to the rich. We need to talk about this. We need to work to prevent this criminal enterprise from really proceeding further. So this story, right, is really connected to that, where this person, he's suffering through hyperinflation, and he saved his money in Bitcoin, which allowed him to pay for the hospital stay, which cost $6,000 in Venezuela. And he withdrew this money when he sold this Bitcoin. He sold one Bitcoin through localbitcoins.com, and he was able to get to transfers, which thank God, because I was thinking the banking system would try to stop him, but they didn't. He got a couple of transfers, and he was able to pay the doctors and everything, and enjoy the time with his son at the final, and forget about all the problems. This is what you need to know about money. You need to know that Bitcoin is money. It's going to save you because it's designed to do so. So save your money for the long-term projections of Bitcoin, and you will do well. What do you think?
Yes, Da Vinci, Bitcoin is the best type of money, the most hardest, the most sound one. And of course, he made a bank transfer, but he could have made it also OTC on the streets. There are actually so many people also in Venezuela accepting Bitcoin, wanting to buy Bitcoin. So that would be the only way where he can, like Tone Wei says, unconfiscatable money used to give his child a birth. So everyone who is still watching, go into the comment section and type in Bitcoin for birth. It would be extremely funny to see how many people are watching and who want to spread out that message. Also, there is a link in the description. You can take that news link and maybe share it on Twitter, and also hashtag Bitcoin for birth or so. It would be extremely cool to spread that news and to remind the people why we are here for. Of course, we are trading Bitcoin. We want to accumulate more Bitcoin, but we should always have a long-term holding portfolio, keeping in mind how strong Bitcoin is, what the narrative of Bitcoin is, and that once the time comes, once the huge moonshot comes in 5 years, 10 years, when we will hopefully finally see $1 million per Bitcoin or whatever with a huge purchasing power, that you want to be sure to have some Bitcoin and not have gambled everything away. So thank you so much for that, Da Vinci. The news was actually extremely mind-blowing, and we hope you get well very, very soon. You are still at work, working on Pandora's wallet. It's actually so mature right now. And you just cannot stay home. You are a working beast. Is there anything you want to share, especially about Pandora's wallet, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, just still working on the back end side of it, trying to get everything nice and perfect. We found a couple of new solutions that we're going to try out to help improve the speed of transfers and stuff like that. But yeah, that's looking really good, and I'm looking forward to moving on to improving the user interface.
Nice. Thank you very much for that, Da Vinci. And everyone else, thank you so much for watching. Remind yourself, Bitcoin for birth in the comment section and on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you smash up the like button. You are subscribed to our channel. And before we wrap it up, Da Vinci, any last words before we end today's episode?
Don't get wrecked.
Always play from a position of strength and don't get wrecked. Thank you so much, Da Vinci. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see each other at the next one of MMCrypto very, very soon. And ByBit tutorial is popping up right here. Make sure you click it right now. And as always, guys, as always,